Hello children, in today's class we are going to discuss about what is soil erosion, what are the causes of soil erosion and how can we prevent soil erosion. At the same time, we are going to discuss about different types of crops that grow in different types of soil. So what is soil erosion? If I ask you a question, many of you must have heard this in your lower classes. You must have seen whenever there is heavy wind, air or heavy rain, the the topmost layer of the soil gets blown away or gets washed away along with water and wind. This process of washing away of topsoil is called as soil erosion. Soil erosion is the detachment, transport and deposition of soil particles on land surface. It is caused naturally because of wind, heavy winds or flow of rainwater. What are the other activities by which soil erosion may take place? They are overcropping, overgrazing, deforestation. Overcropping, overgrazing and deforestation. Suppose we are growing the crops in a place continuously without giving much gap, then also the soil particles become loose and they may be blown away or flown away along with water and wind. So overcropping should be avoided in a same place. Thick overgrazing of the cattle in the same place. Cattle feeds on the grass. The animals, cow, goat, etc., they feed on the grass. If we allow the animals, cattle, to feed in the same place for longer period of time, that time also the soil particles will become loose. So thereby also soil erosion may take place. Another very important cause of soil erosion is deforestation. Wherever there are trees, plants are there. If we are going to cut the trees and plants, naturally the soil particles will become loose because the roots will be lost. Roots bind the soil particles. Once the trees are cut, that is only called as deforestation. If trees are cut means the roots also will be removed from that area. Along with the roots, the soil particles also will become loose. So naturally, whenever there is deforestation, there are no plants, no trees, no roots. It leads to the loosening of the soil. Whenever there will be wind or water, heavy flow of water, the soil, topsoil will be easily washed away. So this way, deforestation leads to soil erosion. That's why we should not cut the trees and plants. We should allow the trees and plants to grow. Thereby the topsoil will be retained there itself. And as you know, topsoil is fertile soil. Fertile means it is rich in humus. It contains nutrients which supports the growth of plants. So that's why we should avoid making the soil loose by cutting down of the trees and plants. So what are the ways by which we can reduce soil erosion? Means grow the trees, plants and let the soil particles be binded there. Let the soil particles be tightened there. Thereby the soil erosion will not take place. Overgrazing of the animals in the same place to be avoided. And in that way we can prevent the soil erosion. So what is soil pollution? It is nothing but the soil getting contaminated, soil getting spoiled, soil getting disturbed by the action of human beings. What happens if we throw the plastics, if we throw the chemicals, if we burn plastics there, or you dump waste which is inorganic waste, not the organic waste, plant waste, animal waste, if we dump in the soil, it will get decomposed, which will add nutrients to the soil. But if you are adding inorganic waste, chemicals, paints, then comes fertilizers, pesticides, these all are rich in chemicals. These chemical rich waste, if it is allowed to be left in the soil, naturally the soil properties of the soil will be lost. The soil will lose its fertility. which will lead to the soil pollution. So whenever you are going to dispose the garbage, dispose the waste, make sure that you are not going to pollute the soil by dumping all the unwanted chemicals, polythenes, paints, etc. into the soil. Only you have to dispose the organic waste. The waste that is obtained from plants and animals can be thrown into the soil, but not other inorganic waste. So you have to avoid soil pollution. Otherwise, soil will lose its fertility. The last I will discuss about soil and crops. You all are aware that different types of soil are needed for different types of crops. You have seen different places have different types of soil, and different types of soil helps in growth of different types of crops, because different places experience different types of climatic factors, or climatic conditions of different places are different. Climatic factors, the some places will be very hot, some places will get good rainfall, some places will be dry climate. So in that way, according to that particular place and particular climatic condition of that place, the soil will allow the growth of certain crops. For example, now you can see in the slide shown here is cereals like wheat and gram are grown in clay and loamy soil. Wheat and gram are grown in clay and loamy soil because these soils have better water retention capacity. That means wheat and gram needs some amount of water. If you grow these crops in sandy soil, they won't get sufficient water. Clay and loamy soil. Soils rich in clay and organic matter with good water retention capacity are ideal for paddy. You know paddy? Rice. That paddy needs much amount of water, and you must have seen it is generally grown in the month of June when we have heavy rainfalls, monsoon time. That means paddy needs much amount of water. Good retention capacity of water by the clay soil prefers in the growth of paddy. Medium moderate amount of water is required, then we'll prefer loamy soil. If it is, if certain soil, certain not soil, if the crops they need very less amount of water, then we prefer sandy soil. Then we prefer sandy soil. For example, cotton doesn't require much water. So it is grown in the soil which is a mixture of loamy and sand. Loamy and sand. So that is suitable for cotton because cotton does not need much amount of water, but it needs some amount of air. So that sandy soil will hold air and it will also drain the water. So sandy loamy soil is a better option for the growth of cotton. And clay soil good for even wheat because it is rich in humus and it is fertile. So in that way we can say that different types of crops can be grown in different types of soil. Here with that we come to the conclusion of the chapter. At the end of the chapter, what you have to learn is that soil is a natural resource. We have to use it very carefully without harming our soil. We depend on the soil for food, clothing and shelter. We depend on the soil for minerals. We depend on the soil for water. We depend on the soil for crops. So that means soil is one of the natural resources. So we need to use it very carefully, meticulously without harming the soil, without polluting it. With that, I conclude today's class. Thank you children. This is the end of the chapter.